I am Chris Von Erich. That's hot. Are you serious? If you walk around looking like that, you deserve it. I got something to say about that. This is The Red Lens.
Today, our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America. America and our friends and allies join with all those who want peace and security in the world, and we stand together to win the war against terrorism. This is a day when all Americans from every walk of life unite in our resolve for justice and peace. None of us will ever forget this day. Yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world. Thank you. Good night, and God bless America. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining. Today, our fellow citizens
Well, good evening. And I wanted to have that kind of soft opening for today. You know, it's a day of reflection for a lot of people out there. I know it's a day of reflection for myself. I was old enough to be there and know what went on in 9/11, that day. That September morning. It was kind of surreal, to be honest with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was very, very surreal. A lot of people talk about how it was a time when you kind of knew where you were. Like now in the future, we look back on it and we say, where were we then, right? So I remember where I was. I was working somewhere, and it was really strange because I remember my coworker saying that, hey, a plane just hit the World Trade Center. It's like, what? What are you talking about? Like, and in my mind, I'm thinking, a prop plane, like one of the little, puddle jumpers, private plane, somebody's just kind of zipping around. By the time I went and took a look at the TV that he was looking at, we actually saw the second plane hit. We actually saw that, So, they're very, very surreal. It was followed up by the third plane crashing into the Pentagon, and by that time we were like, what the heck is going on? We thought it was like, like Invasion USA or something. It was crazy. It's kind of lost on a lot of people that up until that point, the terrorism that, you read about, you saw, was, a hijacked plane, and they did some ransom, or, they took somebody out because they weren't getting what they wanted from their country, something like that. So it wasn't, domestic, it wasn't a domestic, terrorist thing that we had to worry about at that particular time up until that point. And there was a good book back then at the time called While America Slept. I don't know who the author was, but it was very good, comprehensive. And it kind of just illustrated how up until that time of September 11th, 2001, we kind of thought we were untouchable. We had the ocean there, and it separated us. It is a water barrier, as they call it a lot of the times, and it really wasn't. It kind of woke us up to that first time ever. Really woke us up to that acknowledgement. So, and that's why I'm not wearing my glasses either, because I wanted to really hit home here with this. To at least talk about this part for our country, because it was so important with 9/11. And you know what? I got the phone lines open. Call up. Let me know what you feel. Just give me 1 second as I double check one thing. Now that I've talked about 9/11, you guys can call in. I wanted to make a separate demarcation for that because it's very important for us as a country to recognize 9/11 and what it was, what the change was for us. So, again, I want to hear your stories about 9/11. You can do that. allmylinks.com/Chris Von Erich. That is where you'll find everything and anything. The YouTube channel at Chris Von Erich. And right down here, this little ticker, that is literally how you get onto the program tonight. There is the website direct address. If you have any type of mobile technology, you can just go to a browser, type that in, colonstudio.com/show/the red lens. And you can be put into the queue and you can tell your story of 9/11, right? Or if you have a phone, 855-917-3745. Okay, easy enough. Easy enough. I may even put the StreamYard link into the chat here for you, but that'll be on an as request basis, So, but I wanted to start with 9/11, okay, and give my telling of where I was, what I was doing. I know people that served there and subsequently have medical problems since that time. So that is real. There's been a heavy cost even after everything with the people that were desperately trying to find survivors and help people in that chaotic time. I know friends that, were in the city, maybe not exactly there, but, blocks away from where all the damage happened and chaos. They describe it as a very surreal situation. Obviously. But I want to hear what you guys have to say, in the chat, whether it's in the chat, dial in, share your story, totally. The second thing I wanted to get into here, and it's kind of apropos because it kind of marries very well, ironically, with what we're doing today. And that is the completely tragic assassination, passing of Charlie Kirk, who is was a young Republican conservative think tank leader. Okay, he founded Turning Point USA. Now, truth be told, I did not listened to a lot of his broadcasts. I caught them sporadically here and there. So I'm not intimately familiar with his work. Again, you guys can call in. You can comment. I'm sure you guys might have been much more familiar, and you can share some stories. That's fine. But I think it draws a nice and intertwines very well with what we're doing here in a solemn remembrance of 9/11, in that, we look back and we sit in repose today about our country, what it means to us, where we've come, right, and where we're going. Where actually are we going? And I'm not gonna show you the video. I'm not gonna even bring up articles about the video. I'm not gonna do that. You can find that stuff elsewhere. But I'd like to get your opinion on where is the country going, right? Where are we as a nation? We have the current administration talking about a golden age and whatnot. I'm always optimistic about things, but I mean, this is a hell of a. I'm not seeing a golden age. Let's just put it that way. I'm not seeing a golden age with the way the group, the people are, the people that live day to day. I'm not seeing that. We see this stuff on TV that's just chaos, and somebody's beating somebody else up, somebody's stabbing somebody. I live, 40 minutes, 30 minutes from the chaos of what they're talking about on the subways. So, that's what I'm seeing. I want to see the good stuff. I want to see that golden age. I would love to see that. But it's, I don't think we're going to get there in leaps and bounds. I think it's going to take some time. I truly do. But let me see if I can bring something up here as I bring up this little bit here to share this part of the screen. Let's see. I think I have it right here. There we go. Right. It's right here. And this is just a quick little article that, about, they wrote about, there's many articles that they wrote about this Mr. Charlie Kirk here, and some quotes that he had as he, throughout his career, on personal responsibility. Freedom is meaningless without personal responsibility. He often emphasized accountability, urging young people to take ownership of their choices and actions. Okay, well, that's commendable. That very much is commendable. People should own their successes and own their failures. Absolutely. On speaking truth, never let anyone silence your voice, even when it's unpopular. I encouraged open discussion, even in, politically charged environments, like he obviously was. And unfortunately, that's where it ended for him. Again, I think a little bit more talking, a little bit more dialogue is needed in this country. We have to talk before we act. That would be something that I think would be a good practice. On leadership. Leadership isn't about titles, it's about impact. That's a truism. Okay. I do believe, in the little research that I kind of combed through, he was not a college educated man. He actually did what he had to do in high school and then dropped out of college to form the organization that he founded. So there is something to be said for that, if you have a sincere desire to build something, you can do that, even if, you don't go the academic route. And I think that's very poignant. Not too many people kind of look at that, right? On activism in general, he said, if you see something wrong, don't just talk, do something about it. He pushed for active engagement rather than passive criticism. Or was an inspiration to young people in that way. And I think that is telling, because young people they do want to have their voices be heard. And I think that's a good thing. We need them. It's great to have the policymakers now, but we need the future to be engaged too. And we talk about that a lot here, with, being red pilled and guys doing what they need to become, high value and, just have success, be something of a success in your life. And that's very important. So I think you can draw a cause and effect on that right there. Absolutely. On perseverance, obstacles are proof that you're moving forward. Okay. He always said that resilience was the key, achieving goals despite criticism or opposition. Well, I think that's commendable too, because you don't get anywhere without going through something, and it could be as simple as studying for a test. You can't move on to something bigger and better for yourself, i.e. more money, i.e. a position of influence, without achieving something of measurement going forward. On education, learn relentlessly. Knowledge is the foundation of freedom. And again, going back to him not being college educated, everything he learned, he was self-taught. So I think that's also commendable, in that, we shouldn't be stuck at, okay, I'm done with my 4 years of college, or maybe you do a doctorate and I'm done. Okay, I'm done. That's it. No, you should continue to learn. Keep getting educated for yourself. On conservative principles, which he was a conservative person. Conservatism isn't nostalgia. It's a roadmap to a better future. Okay, so for him, he thought conservatism was the way to go forward. Okay. I think a lot of people do have a nostalgia-esque idea of conservatism and what is considered tradcon values, right? We think about the 80s, with Ronald Reagan. He was or I still think he is, the image of, tradcon. Okay. I think that's what he embodies, Ronald Reagan, still to this day. And I think what Charlie was envisioning was not looking back, but let's take those principles and apply it to a modern day, this day. So that is commendable. Let me just get some seltzer here. My goodness, I'm talking too much. Like I said, this is not really the type of show I do, but I thought, again, with it being 9/11, it was important to kind of separate. And there was a lot of guys talking about stuff, and we'll get to that in a second. I just want to go through this last part here on debates. He always talked about arguing the ideas, not the people. So don't worry about who the person was that was asking the question. But in turn, let's talk about what you're talking about, your idea versus my idea. And that's, again, at the end of the day, if, and I hope, if we can do one thing, it is to have more talking rather than knee-jerk reactions to stuff. Okay? And we talk about that in the red pill space all the time. Okay? Figure out what's going on, learn, observe. Okay? Observe twice, act once. Okay? That's a rule of thumb. Okay? You pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing, the task at hand, and then you speak on it. That's what we talk about here in the red pill space. It's learning how to be self-aware, learning to be better, thinking on your feet as a guy. That's what you have to do. That's the whole concept of burden of performance. So I am paying attention to some things here. I do know that it looks like they're going to have some kind of FBI thing here about this whole, maybe some more updates here. I know they're getting close. They got pictures of this guy. So I know they're getting close with some things. So, a lot of people were talking about this yesterday. Okay. I saw a lot of people popping on, Mike Sartain, Rollo, etc. You name it. Almost anybody that has a show or a podcast was talking about it. So I wanted to echo some of the things that they were kind of talking about. Okay. And that is, we sometimes get lumped into the news like this. Unfortunately, it happens when, a shooting goes on, the kid, lights up a school or something. It's horrible. And I want to make it abundantly clear that what I do and what a lot of these guys do is separate from the political realm. I don't really talk about political stuff all that much. I really don't. I don't think, in terms of being your own guy and being red pill aware, it doesn't matter what your political backgrounds are. Okay. I certainly don't care. I want all guys to listen to me, to take in the information that I've lived, okay, and the mistakes that I've made, and not make those mistakes. Okay. Use my advice on what to do and make yourself better. Okay. Use it to your advantage. That's the whole, that is the essence of the manosphere. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be making guys better guys overall. Okay. In all aspects. All right. It's not about hating women or anything like that. No, we understand women's nature. Okay. It doesn't mean in any respect that we hate them. Now we have some, we'll do our little, hey now, little jokes and digs and stuff like that, but it is satire. It's harmless. Okay. And if you're focusing on the little jokes, you're missing the whole picture. Okay. That's what we're talking about here. And I don't want people to miss the picture on this, in that we cannot have situations like what happened yesterday with Charlie Kirk happen anymore in society here. Okay. And I'm not saying tone down the rhetoric like they're saying. I'm just saying we just can't have it. As a society as a whole, we cannot have people, going crazy on one another just because they said something. Right? You can't. You cannot have a civilized nation, okay, and do that. You just can't. Let me just see what's going on here real quick. I'm going to share this up. Yeah, you know what? I am going to share this up. No, not that. Here we go. And what you're seeing here right now this is a picture of this guy. So it's pretty great that they actually have this picture. I hope that somebody out there sees him and turns him in. That's what I want. I want him. I want this guy turned in. So it looks like they're going to have a little press conference here pretty soon. God, I mean, I was way off on this. Okay, I was way off on this. I thought that he was like going to be an older dude. I even kind of and Sartain, if you're out there, you were right. I was wrong. He said, my goodness, I'm an ex, military guy myself. I'm telling you, this guy was just lucky. It was not somebody that was, a hired gun, and he was right. He was totally right. This kid looks and he does look like a kid. He looks all of 21. I mean, right? I mean, could he be any younger than that? I don't know. But I mean, he definitely does not look. Yeah, I mean, he cannot be older than 21, 22 years old from this picture. So I'm going to actually drop this away. I'm going to actually stop sharing that because I don't know if YouTube is going to freak out. Oh, you can't use a live video, whatever. In any event, again, the call-in studio is open right there. 855-917-3745 is the number. Also, let me just double check here. Banner. allmylinks.com/Chris Von Erich. That is literally, ladies and gentlemen, the link that you need for the one-stop shop for everything that I do, whether it's here, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, it's all on there. Okay. All on there. And of course, the main channel, youtube.com, at Chris Von Erich. I think now you can just search at Chris Von Erich and it's going to pop it up. There is also a Clips channel, Red Lens Clips, for the too long didn't read generation out there. So you can just get little bite size. A lot of them are funny. Some of but all of them are very meaningful and poignant. I'm going to tell you guys, even if I'm doing something tongue in cheek, there's always going to be a little kernel of truth or a message in there that I want you guys to get and pay attention to. So, you got to wake up sometimes. All right. So we'll drop that away. So again, I wanted to make it perfectly clear, and I'm not going to talk about this again. All right. But I wanted to stress the fact that, I am not here to talk left or right side of the aisle. Okay. There are things about me that are very traditional. Okay. I've shared a bunch of those with you guys from the past. And there's stuff that I ride the fence on. I mean, I have beliefs that would tick off either side of the aisle. Okay. I got beliefs that would tick off the tradcons. I have beliefs that would tick off, a progressive person, but they're my beliefs and they're how I value things in life. And there are things about me that you guys, unless you know me out there, would never know about me. Okay. And I think that's very important for all content creators, since we're talking about people out in the public sphere. Okay. I am out there somewhat. Okay. I don't, I'm not at the realm of, what some of these pundits are and things like that, or even some of my fellow colleagues out here. I don't, I don't have that kind of following, but I've collaborated with a lot of people online here. I know a lot of people. I am constantly paying attention to other people's work, what they're doing, and I have to do that when I'm here, because in the online manosphere, things hit quick and then they're gone. Okay. So, and a lot of my content that I'm still working on repurposing from back in the day is just, it's basically evergreen content. It's just, I don't even know if it's going to get seen. Who knows? I don't know how the algorithm works anymore. It works a certain way when I started doing this. Oh my God, like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And now, I've come back, and my schedule is a little bit more pliable, but it's chaos, and it's tough to get a foothold, I've seen people that were big for years and now they're trying to reinvent themselves again, a lot of people that I admire. So it is what it is. But I wanted to touch on that because we are making content here, and my opinions. There's no way, okay, no way you can ever be completely sanitary and make headway or do stuff where you're not gonna tick off somebody. Okay, it's an impossibility. Okay, impossibility. I mean, I've had shows where I was like, oh wow, I I played it so on the fence, so neutral, and then bang in my comments, I can't believe you did that on Eric Waddell. Okay, okay, you won't be able to win. I'll tell you that right now. If you're thinking about doing a podcast, if you're thinking about being a person online, understand that you will never be a friend to everybody. So you're always going to have your detractors. Where it gets crazy is when you have a situation that happened just yesterday where somebody is speaking on their beliefs versus somebody else's beliefs, and giving their point of view of, hey, well, I would do this instead of that, and then they want to take you out just because you had a difference of opinion, or you represent something in their mind that they just can't have. It's there's no way that can go on. And that's a horrible mantra, and we have to eradicate that out. Okay, I mean, there are people, whether it be the political realm or the red pill space here, that I vehemently disagree with. Okay, right? I'll give you one. Rollo, I got his book right back there, right? I don't agree with everything in lockstep. I mean, if I did that, I'd be a damn robot. Okay, you would be. You'd be a damn robot. And nobody wants to do that. No, nobody wants to be a damn robot. All right, nobody wants to be around a damn robot. But to think that your opinion on something could threaten your life, I mean, is that where we're at right now? I mean, really, stop and think about that. Something that you believe in could be so abhorrent to somebody else that they want to just, bye-bye. I mean, come on. I mean, we have come so far from 9/11. It's scary. Some of you out there don't remember 9/11. You weren't even born. Okay, well, I'll do quick math. 9/11. I think if you're 30 or under in age, you have no concept of what even the hell I'm talking about. Like, the videos mean nothing to you. But if you were alive back then, the sense of camaraderie, the sense of oneness, the sense of togetherness that this nation had, I'm not even talking New York, all right? I'm talking the whole nation was together and rallied. I mean, people were cheering police officers, cheering firemen, cheering our politicians in the efforts they were doing, cheering your common neighbor, your next door neighbor, the common man and woman. Flash forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we're burying somebody because of their personal beliefs, because somebody else couldn't stand what they were saying. Think about that. All right. On that note, I think that's pretty poignant. That's all I got tonight. I wanted to make it quick. Again, allmylinks.com. Chris Von Erich is there. The YouTube channel is right there for you. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to edit some clips from this up here, hopefully before the end, before the morning. And again, please have more patience, understanding, and self-respect for each other out there. All right? I know we all feel a certain way, and we did about this event, about both events, 9/11 and Charlie Kirk, both the same events. After the initial shock, we got to be better. And I believe we will be better. Good night, guys. God bless.